people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Welcome to the mother relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. On the heels of her latest victory, Eddie Hearn has confirmed that Skye Nicolson will now face Argentina's Sabrina Maribel Perez for the WBC interim world title this summer. Skye Nicolson was in action yesterday on the undercard of Rakhimov versus Cordina opposite the ring Peru's own Linda Lecca. Fight worked out exactly as I predicted, exactly as I expected. Linda Lecca, a fighter that likes to move lateral, give up room, give up real estate to set up counter shots to try and catch an opponent coming in. She ended up staying on the perimeter of the ring most of the fight as Skye Nicolson got on the front foot and she was the aggressor. Shooting singles from the outside coming in, keeping Linda Lecca under some pressure. I would have liked to have seen a bit more combination punching from Skye Nicolson. It was really just 1 and 2 shots at a time. Accurate. And efficient. Defensively responsible. She'd get her shots off and stay out of harm's way should Linda Lecca fire a counter. Skye Nicolson being the taller, longer fighter, the rangier fighter in the fight, and Linda Lecca being the shorter, stumpier fighter. Skye's got those long levers. Those long arms to where she can touch Linda Lecca with straight punches from the outside. Out of the southpaw stance. Simultaneously stay out of striking distance, staying out of the way of Linda Lecca's punches. Linda, who's shorter, stumpier, and slower than Skye Nicolson. Too slow to the punch. She wasn't going to catch Skye with any of those counter shots. We saw good punch picking from Skye Nicolson from the outside, coming in and keeping Linda Lecca at arm's length, careful not to step within striking distance of Linda's punches. Linda, in turn, showed some good defensive highlights, slipping, rolling, and riding punches. Try and take something off of Skye Nicolson's shots. In terms of defense, she was definitely capable, but offensively, she mounted no offense. She was really only fighting half of a fight. One round was just like the other. Skye was in control, and she never lost control of this fight. Never let Linda Lecca into it. I would like to see a bit more combination punching from Skye, though all things in time. She's a pure boxer. These are characteristically economic fighters. They don't throw punches in bunches. It'll take some time before Skye Nicolson is comfortable enough and confident enough to start stringing shots together whilst being the aggressor. They're talking about putting her in the ring this summer with Maribel Perez, who sports a respectable record. A professional record of 18 wins with 1 loss, just 1 loss, 1 draw, 2 knockouts, having only ever been knocked out once. Just once in 20 professional fights. Maribel was last in action in March of last year opposite the ring journeywoman Yolise Franco. She wasn't very busy last year. That's the only fight she had. In truth, Maribel hasn't been all that busy the last 2 years. In the last 2 years or so, going on 3, she's only fought once, just once in the last 2 years. Stop and start kind of career. She had 2 fights in 2018, no fights in 2019, 1 fight in 2020, and no fights in 2021. And only 1 fight in 2022, just 1. So even though she's not what you would call a journeywoman, a woman with an upside-down record or a gatekeeper, she does have 18 wins and just 1 loss. She's not a very active fighter. That's the angling. If this is who Skye Nicolson is going to be facing in her very next fight this upcoming summer, you can see how they're still mitigating the risks. Stepping her up fight by fight. You could call this a step up from Linda Lecca because Linda Lecca was coming off a loss to Raven Chapman when she fought Skye, whereas Maribel, she's coming off of 2 consecutive wins. Even if they are spread across a 2-year span, a 2-year period, 2 wins in 3 years overall. She's not active. The night of the fight with Skye Nicolson, it will have been approximately well over a year's time since Maribel last saw action, standing in at approximately 5'2". She will be the shorter, stumpier fighter. Giving Skye certain physical advantages. You know, Skye, she's got very good dimensions for a featherweight. Long legs, long arms. And even though Maribel is registered as a featherweight, her last fight was actually downstairs, just south of featherweight at super bantamweight, 122. For this fight with Skye, she'll be moving up to 126. 126 pounds where Amanda Serrano reigns as that division's undisputed champion. If Skye wins, this is a step in her direction, or at minimum, a step in the direction of the green belt, the WBC title. Nicolson versus Perez will be for WBC interim status.
I am going to have to give Maribel Perez a closer look.
To get a better idea of what it is exactly Sky Nicholson will be dealing with, but so far so good.
She delivered.
Met up to my expectations. I expected that Sky would be the aggressor in this fight and show a bit more aggression. No combination punching, not yet, but she's a work in progress.
You gotta remember, even though this kid had a busy year last year, she debuted as a professional last year. She's only been a professional for a little over a year's time. This is her second year. Just her second year in the pro game.
She's already fighting fighters that have vastly more pro experience than she does, way more rounds in the bank, so I don't see any issue with who she's fighting or the path they've got her on.
So far, so good.
Things that need working on are combination punching and being comfortable enough to throw punches mid-range to inside, because Sky still is a long-range fighter.
Yeah, that just happened. I'm heartbroken. I don't know what happened. I didn't feel a single punch. I'm not even marked up, and I just feel like I warmed up and the fight was over. I don't know what happened. First loss in the 4 years. First loss in 4 years, and by knockout and by my fighting style. I really don't know what happened. I don't know. I was ready. I put a lot of everything into this fight, so I can't blame nobody but myself. But one thing is for sure, I will be back, you know. Even if they don't want me, even if they won't let me, I will be back, you know. I will be back. I will be back, and I will keep returning back. I love boxing. Boxing is all I know. And that's my life. You know, that's my life. Boxing is my life, so there's nothing else I can do. Yeah. Sorry to disappoint you all. I really don't know what happened. Good luck to Rosinski. He is a proper fighter, and he beat me at my own game. So that is what hurts the most, actually, because I never lost a fight. I never lost a fight like this. In 12 years of doing boxing, I didn't lose a single round in sparring, let alone a fight. So it's really painful. This is really painful defeat. But I will be back, for sure. I will be back for more. I'll be back, and I will continue to be back. I will continue to return to boxing. Boxing is my love. I love boxing with all my heart. It's all I know how to do, all I want to do. Yeah.
This was the one prediction this weekend that I got wrong. One fight that I took on faith. I thought Allen, given his brawler style, maybe he can just power through this guy on foreign soil, hostile territory, and win this fight the same fashion that he's won other fights in, though notwithstanding that he would face some adversity, because Lucas Rosinski, in spite of being out of action for roughly 2 years or close to 2 years, he did seem a tighter, more compact puncher than Allen. That when Allen goes to throw a power shot, it's so wide you could fit a couch in between it.
Whereas Lucas's punches seemed more defensible, shorter even than Allen's.
And that in terms of power, they seem to have similar power, that if Allen lands clean on Lucas, or if Lucas lands clean on Allen, they can both hurt each other. But Lucas did seem a little bit more put together than Allen did. In spite of that, I went with my heart instead of my head. I chose Allen to win the fight. That didn't happen. If you haven't seen the fight, it's available here on YouTube. It doesn't last very long, just a little over 2 minutes.
Starts off like any other Allen Babic fight.
Though you could notice almost immediately that Lucas is accurate. He's a quality operator. To some degree he is, because he was landing his shots, and he was landing his shots early.
Allen Babic is no defensive specialist. He's no defensive wizard.
At the start, Lucas was landing, and he was landing big. Scored a knockdown off a left and a right.
At the start of the fight,
Allen Babic rose to his feet, though seeming on unsteady legs. Lucas Rosinski, smelling blood, he jumped right on him.
That's what he's supposed to do. The problem with Allen Babic's style is that in the exchange, when both fighters are trading, anything can happen, especially when both guys weigh roughly 200, 225 pounds. Anybody can hurt anybody.
That's Allen Babic's calling card. He's a pressure fighter, he is, in terms of base styles. Alen Babic is an, according to Hoyle, pressure fighter, but he's a very crude pressure fighter, very raw, making him a brawler.
There's lots of different types of pressure fighters that go about applying pressure in different ways. You take Artur Babic, for example. He's definitely a pressure fighter, keeps a guy under pressure, but he does it in an educated way, doubling and tripling up on his jab.
It's a very short jab, very short, hard to counter. That makes it defensible because the arm's not out there long enough for you to exploit it.
Counter it.
His shot selection is refined. You know, whether you're talking about uppercuts up the middle or hooks that sail around the guard, these are very short, tight punches. That in turn makes those punches hard to counter.
And that's when it comes to offense. When it comes to defense, Artur is actually a bit underrated.
Catching and shooting punches behind a high guard, a tight guard, whereas a guy like Alen, you know, his punches, they're wide instead of short.
Wide instead of tight.
He doesn't often show anything semblant of a jab. He doesn't do that often. He just tries for these really big punches, these really big shots that can be countered mid-range to inside opposite the ring Lucas Rosinski. That's what happened.
Post-fight, most were saying that it was bound to happen. This was bound to happen to Alen Babic, and it was really only a matter of time.
Maybe it was. Can he rebuild? Can he get better? Well, I don't want to be a negative Nelly. I actually think with some work, he can.
We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. I'm not proposing that Alen Babic become more of a boxer than a brawler, so much add to his brawler style. Add a double and a triple jab.
Don't be so quick to sell out and get into exchanges, especially in the first round of a match when a guy's just as fresh as you are, just as explosive as you are. You want to wear him down.
Pace yourself. Wear the guy down round by round.
You know, when it comes to the Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis fight that also took place this weekend, you saw Ryan selling out early. You saw Ryan jumping the gun and paying for it. The same way that Alen paid for it.
Because he had no patience. He had no poise. Might seem like a bit of a contradiction. An oxymoron telling a pressure fighter, don't stop being a pressure fighter, but be more poised.
Poise, at least at first glance, isn't a characteristic you normally associate with a pressure fighter, but indeed, a pressure fighter can be poised, at least at the start, before they build momentum and start really putting a squeeze on their opponent, applying pressure. I think Alen Babic could do more.
Show more of a jab.
Key your way into striking distance with it, to get off big punches and tighten up those punches once you get there. Make them shorter.
Maybe head movement's not your speciality. Maybe it don't feel natural. Well, bend at the waist. Fight on a swivel.
A la Joe Frazier, one of the better pressure fighters the sport has ever seen, bobbing and weaving while he closes the distance to get off looping shots and big left hooks.
Take a page out of that guy's book.
It's not about Alen Babic changing his identity as a fighter, changing who he is. It's about adding to his repertoire. I'm not proposing that we reinvent the wheel here and turn Alen into some stick and move outside jabber. I propose he stay a pressure fighter, but a more refined version of himself.
Because there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to apply pressure.
He's just got to work on it. And just in keeping with the theme of things going sideways for then unbeaten fighters yesterday, Ryan Garcia said, "Tank caught me good. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't get up." Now, some are saying that Ryan Garcia quit.
What looked like a delayed reaction to a well-placed body shot.
Irrespective of whether or not you think he quit, I think it all accents the same thing. This kid's green, and he's not world class.
There was a lot of talk in the promotion of the fight, but Garcia praised Tank for his performance. He says the shot to the body did enough damage where he couldn't fully recover by the count of 10.
I'm good. Tank is a great fighter. I take my hat off to him. I know we talked a lot of trash leading into the fight, but he knows what it is. It's all love at the end of the day. I was honored to be in the ring with a great fighter, and I respect him a lot. You know how the business goes. But I want to say to Tank, you're a good man, Garcia said.
Do you think that Tank would have still won the fight if there weren't any weight stipulations?
Yeah, I do. I think it's entirely possible that even without the weight stipulations in play, the outcome would have been the same. Perhaps it would have taken a little longer.
Gervonta Davis' fans don't want to admit that those weight stipulations, they could have very well affected how well Ryan took a shot.
Because he hasn't made anything close to 135 pounds in well over a year. His last two fights were up there at super lightweight.
I've already had 2 guys in the comments on my videos denying this.
He caught me with a good shot. I don't want to make excuses. He caught me with a good shot, and I just couldn't recover, and that's it. He caught me with a good body shot, snuck under me, and caught me good. I couldn't breathe. I was going to get back up, but I just couldn't get up. I think I should have pressured him a little harder near the ropes. I was giving him a little bit too much respect, and I think that was my downfall. I think I gave him a little bit too much respect in the ring.
I think the opposite. opposite. Outside looking in, I think he didn't give Gervonta Davis, a counterpuncher, enough respect.
Both times he got caught and both times he got dropped was mid-range to inside, stepping into his punches.
And that was as a result of selling out and not giving Gervonta Davis's counterpunching enough respect.
Ryan says he doesn't want to make excuses. He just got caught with a good shot, though at the same time he says, I felt a little weak. Legs didn't feel too much under me. I signed the contract.
He did.
And you assume the responsibility of what you sign up for, though at the same time, they didn't put those weight stipulations in there for no reason. They knew what effect they could have.
This guy didn't have time to fully hydrate, rehydrate properly.
That's what those weight stipulations were for. I mean, from an honest-like perception of it, I didn't feel too good. Garcia said during his post-fight press conference, I mean, I felt a little weak, you know? Going into the ring, my legs didn't feel too much under me, but once the fight got going, you know, it all kind of came together. So I can't really pin losing on that too much. It just is what it is. I signed the contract, and that's that.
And unless fighters like Shakur or Devin are willing to agree to what Ryan Garcia agreed to, don't expect to see them in the ring with him, with Gervonta Davis.
Ryan may be trying to downplay the effect of those weight stipulations, and in truth, even without them, I would have still picked Gervonta Davis to beat him on the premise that Ryan Garcia, he's still green. He's not far removed from a prospect based on his quality of competition.
And I didn't all of a sudden start saying that after the fight. I've been saying it for weeks and months leading up to it. This guy.
It's not like his opponents got better after the Luke Campbell fight approximately 3 years ago. 3 years later, he still strikes me as a prospect.
Prospect who hadn't made anything close to 135 pounds in well over a year. Garcia weighed in at the junior welterweight limit of 140 pounds for his previous fight.
That was the Javier Fortuna fight. And the fight before that, the Emmanuel To-Go fight, that fight was fought within the super lightweight limit as well.
In a nutshell, the weight stipulations, they do affect a fighter's durability, their ability to take a punch, and Ryan took some punches.
You don't incorporate those kinds of weight stipulations, specific time-sensitive weight stipulations, into a contract for no reason.
You do it to handicap a guy. You do it to weaken a fighter. And coincidentally, Ryan Garcia said, making his ring walk, he felt weak.
Did he quit?
Some people think that he did. Some people think that he could have gotten up and should have gotten up.
I think that whether he quit or he didn't quit, it all accents the same thing. Ryan Garcia does not have enough experience at this level, that he's a world-class guy, that he's a solid contender, and much of his notoriety doesn't come from his boxing, any fighter that he beat, or a title that he won. It comes from his social media following. That is how diluted.
Seriously.
And the courage of his convictions was compelling leading into the fight, though not convincing, not for me.
I said the guy's gonna get stopped, and that's what happened.
Those weight clauses didn't help him none.